Scrappy people, Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a layout in my Life Crafted album using the Citrus Twist Kits handcrafted collection and a couple papers from their basic ledgers because the handcrafted collection consists of all printable traveler's notebook papers, so I needed something a little bit bigger, so I'm building on the ledger papers. So you can see I have two photos here of my desk. One is before crafting when it looks all beautiful and well taken care of, and the second one is of like the middle of my crafting day when everything is everywhere and it's chaos. And I want to do a layout today about like crafter math, basically. The handcrafted collection is full of adorable themed goodies about crafting, so this is going to be perfect for scrapbooking this layout. So I went into this layout with a concept in mind, and the left-hand side of the page, like the clean photo, I want to be very linear, very clean. I mean, obviously it's still going to be embellished because I'm a big embellisher, but like I want it to have straight lines, very clean, very like, not sedate, but like calm. And then the right hand side of the page, I want to be wild and layered and like almost like an explosion. So what I'm going to do to tie the two sides of the pages together is I'm going to create a base that is the same. I printed my photos the same size, I backed them with the same paper, and I'm using that stitched paper as the base of both in the same place on both sides. I'm also going to incorporate these two little Polaroid frames on both sides framing a heart, and then after that is where the page is going to diverge from each other. I'm still going to kind of create balance by what I'm adding on both sides in a few ways so that the two pages look like they go together and not like they were created independently of each other. But they're going to, both sides are going to come off very differently. And that was the vibe that I was going for this page, because I actually had the idea for this page while I was running, and I just could not wait to get home and like put it into practice. So the left hand side is almost going to be like a gallery wall, is kind of the vibe that I'm going for. So you can see I'm starting to pull in embellishments on either side. I'm going to have two of those sort of pointy word art bits, and now I'm going to start really clustering up both sides. So everything on the left hand side is going to be nice and straight and up and down. Everything on the right hand side is going to be just chaos. And it works because that purple journaling card that I have back there that says "In the midst of chaos lies creativity," it was like the perfect centerpiece for that page. And so we're going to work it. I'm going to include even more of like the shaped die cuts on the right hand side too. The left hand side is going to be mostly like word bits and solid solid shapes to keep it sort of that gallery wall feel, whereas the right hand side is going to have more of the shaped embellishments. So I want to incorporate those florals too. I'm going to have one on each side, sort of framing the layouts top and bottom. I am going to cut that yellow one and use it in the top too. I thought that this ruler was the perfect grounding element for this sedate side, this calm side. So I'm going to incorporate that as well as like a paper strip. And I thought I wanted to incorporate some more papers in here, but I really felt like this was perfect. And also the embellishments are large enough and the photos are large enough that trying to incorporate more paper strips wouldn't have worked. So I really leaned heavily on the embellishments instead. So I'm going to start gluing things down and committing. When I use the liquid glue, you know it's serious. So this side of the page came together really quick because obviously it's a lot cleaner, a lot less fussing around. And the right hand side of the page is obviously going to be a little bit wild, so it's a little bit more fun to put together. Here we go. Let's let's start doing this. So I started with the largest pieces of what I knew I wanted to include on this size, and that is my constant advice for when you are embellishing is starting with the largest pieces first. If you can get a semblance of order in the chaos with your large cluster embellishments, then it's a lot easier to start building really detailed clusters with your smaller pieces because you have sort of a base with the larger pieces. So that's why I have like this tag and the large floral cluster and the larger word embellishments, and also like that big washi tape. All of those things take up a lot of room. So by starting with those, then I know that I can start building on top of it and creating that layered effect, and I have a good solid foundation. So one of the ways in which I'm going to create symmetry and balance on both sides of this page is with these hot pink word strips. I love these word strips. They're so vibrant and they make such a statement on the page. You can see like they really stand out. So I'm going to incorporate a couple on each side. And that's going to tie both sides together in another way on like an upper layer, right? Because the way that we tied both sides together initially was through some of the lower layer assembly with the background paper and the photo mat and the frames. Like all of those are sort of in the background of the page, especially when I start building embellishment clusters on top of everything. So we need to bring up some of that tying together of both sides to a higher level in the embellishment clusters, and that's what we're going to start doing with these pink word strips. I wanted another one on that right hand side so bad, but I could not make, like I couldn't find one to fit down there by that washi tape the way I wanted it to, but I'm gonna get there. And I wanted one more over here, 2 on one side, 3 on the other. That's fine. It's not quite working the way I want yet, but we're gonna get there. I'll readjust. Also, I find this hot pink arrow and I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is what I wanted. So I tried to incorporate this puffy washi tape in, but it's too big for what I want. I didn't want to cut it. Instead, I'm gonna go with this rickrack. It's going to work well. I was like, it needs to be on the left-hand side, but it works so much better on the right-hand side, so we're gonna do that instead. Then I incorporate this pink arrow, oh, and it really like added to the composition in a way that worked for me. So now I need to rework these hot pink strips just a little bit to make sure that it works and there's not too much pink going on. Ah, yes, this is my thing that worked. So now I'm going with the upper level embellishments, which are always going to be the smaller embellishments with those puffy stickers. Now the whole thing is going to get tied together with this title. So what I wanted to add was a title that said The Circle of Mess. And when I get this down, like I wanted it to be a straight line here because obviously we're going with straight lines on the left hand side. And I'm going to add mess chaotically on this side to go with that vibe. But then it doesn't quite work for me on a couple levels. First, I didn't like the word mess. It didn't like it wasn't quite the right title for this page, so I pull it off and instead I'm going to use the Circle of Crafts. And then I realized that the title started the circle of at the bottom and then like went up to the top of the right hand page, and visually for me that title wasn't working. So I broke my rule on the left hand side about having like everything in a straight line, and instead I decided to arc the rest of that title up at the top of the page so that when you read the title across the page it's in a half circle all the way across. So I've got this crafts down, so I'm going to start moving these letters up, and you can see that that leads your eye visually across the page a lot better. So it says the Circle of Crafts. So I'm going to adjust these letters. I'm going to adjust the heck out of these letters because they weren't quite making me happy like the whole time. So once I get this title arcing across the page, I decide I need a little bit more black in the bottom left hand corner to sort of tie it all together. And then This page really is so fun and came out better than I even anticipated and expected. I'm going to fix that crafts because it's not quite arcing right. I even fixed it off camera, but I get there. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time. Thank you.